Welcome back to All Things Creepy. I'm your host, Micah James, and this week's episode might be slightly shorter than other main episodes that I've done in the past, but this is a topic that's kind of interested me for a while now, and that is weird and creepy beauty trends from history. I am only going to be covering 9 of them this week, but if there are any that you guys are interested in that you want me to take a deeper dive into, whether I talked about them this week or not, please hit me up on my social medias. All of that will be in the show notes, and I will gladly do a part 2 or a deeper dive into any of these in a future episode. Now, with all that being said, let's start talking about some of these beauty trends. Let's start with kind of like a common knowledge one, and that is lead, specifically white lead. A lot of people would rub it on their faces to look paler and would lead people to getting lead poisoning, which to me is really no shock. A lot of ancient cultures would use this, like ancient Greece and just a lot of ancient European civilizations in general. I feel like I remember learning something about how ancient Egypt used to use that too. But specifically in ancient Greece, they used lotions made with white lead that allegedly cleared blemishes and improved color and texture of their skin. And while that may have been true with the white lead, there are thousands of other ways that you can clear blemishes and improve your color and texture of your skin. In today's day and age, like we have a lot of safer makeups and, acne remedies that you can use that isn't lead. So please don't get lead poisoning. The next one kind of just like really stuck out to me, and that is arsenic wafers. This was used in the 19th century by women to whiten and even out complexions. Now, this one kind of shocked me like a little bit. Not necessarily the use of arsenic in makeup, but just more so that they actually would on purpose like ingest this. Because the only time I personally really heard people ingesting arsenic was either through some sort of medicinal use or they were fed arsenic unknowingly because their spouse, parent, child, whatever, was trying to poison them. But of course, because it's arsenic, as you can imagine, there were pretty horrid side effects that include, but isn't necessarily limited to, cancer, baldness, epilepsy, and even death. Arsenic wafers were so popular that it was actually sold in Sears in 1902. The next one that kind of stood out to me was blackened teeth. This was very popular during the Edo period in Japan, and the Japanese would use iron-based black dye. This was considered a sign of extreme beauty during the Edo period, and apparently it actually helped preserve teeth into old age. However, despite that, this practice was eventually banned in 1870. The thing is though, I couldn't really find a reason why this practice was banned in the first place. Although if someone does know why it was banned or is able to find a reason when I couldn't, let me know, because I'm kind of curious as to why they might have actually, like, the quote unquote real reason why they banned it. All right, the next beauty trend was actually aimed towards men, and that is pigeon poop. Now, the thing is, they didn't just use the shit from birds, but men would use this on their bald head with the belief that it would grow their hair back. Of course, it didn't really work. This is another one that kind of has roots in ancient Greece. Hippocrates mixed cumin, pigeon dung, horseradish, and nettles to make this cream to hopefully cure baldness. But as I said, it clearly didn't work. But I mean, like, since then, of course, there is at least like something kind of to it in a sense, because now there are a lot of bald remedies that are out there today that, from what I've seen, definitely work better than pigeon poop. The next one I feel like is at least sort of well known, at least here in the US, because I remember learning about it in high school, and that is nightshade. It was used by Victorian people, mostly women, in their eyes to dilate their pupils. The ladies really wanted to look weak and fragile, and it was ended up being dubbed the tuberculosis look. By looking like more fragile and weak, it seems like to them it made women more desirable, as at least back in the Victorian era period, women were more reliant on men, not always by choice. It made them seem more desirable, I guess, in their minds. But of course, nightshade can be very dangerous and potentially cause blindness. The thing is, supposedly the Victorian people knew that this could be a risk, but they thought it was a risk worth taking because they still did it. All right, the next one, there's a lot of very good YouTube videos on it. If I can find one of the videos that I really liked, I'll link it in the show notes. But the next one is foot binding. This was popular and encouraged in ancient China. It occurred mostly from the 10th through 20th centuries. A woman's feet would be broken, bound, and walked on for 2 years in these tiny lotus shoes. As you can probably imagine, this caused medical issues and some fatalities. Even looking at those like healed feet, it still looks absolutely painful. I think I've even seen this on like a few like do not research icebergs on Reddit, because it can be kind of disturbing, admittedly. Next is radioactive face cream. This was popular during the early 20th century. In the 1930s, a doctor named Alfred Curie launched a French cosmetics brand called Tho Radio. The products featured chemicals like thorium chloride and radium bromide. It claimed to stimulate cellular vitality, firm up the skin, cure boils and pimples, even out redness and pigmentation, erase wrinkles and stop aging, and help retain freshness and brightness of color. But of course, with more research coming out about radioactivity, like especially since then, like a lot of research has been done, and we of course know now that that can be pretty deadly when you use anything that's radioactive like that. Next is this one is somewhat gross. It's definitely weird, but in ancient Rome, wealthy women would use the sweat scraped off of gladiators. This was used as a face cream because it was believed to improve your complexion, and it was also believed to be an aphrodisiac. Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even like the feeling of my own sweat on my face, so I can't even imagine using somebody else's. And we are kind of ending on one that might not even have been a trend. It is highly disputed whether this was actually used or not, but tapeworms. Like I said, this one might have not even existed. It was a controversial fad diet that was very dangerous and gross. 90s newspapers reported that women were swallowing pills with tapeworm eggs, and once the tapeworms would get out of the pill, they would latch on to the woman's stomach and basically feed off of whatever the woman was eating. But again, it is very highly disputed whether this actually happened or not. I did try to dig to see if I can find like a real life example of something like this that actually happened in real life and not just some, cautionary tale. And the closest that I could find was this 1000 Ways to Die episode that talked about it. But again, that's the closest I could come. And 1000 Ways to Die, like those deaths, some of them could have been faked. Like some of them were pretty obviously faked too. So it's, again, if that's the closest I could find, I can't say with confidence whether this actually happened or not. So, yeah, that was a glimpse into some kind of weird, disturbing, creepy, gross beauty trends in history. Again, if there are any that you want me to take a deeper dive into, or that if there's any more that you want me to like actually talk about that I didn't mention in this episode, please hit me up and I will gladly look more into that. Because like I said, this is a topic that just very much intrigues me. It's very interesting to me. So, yeah, let me know. All of my social media will be in the show notes. And yeah, I will see you guys next week. Be careful out there and stay creepy.